Good evening, you're watching Estuary News, I'm Hugh Riches. In the headlines tonight, more strike action on the region's trains, British Steel to supply steel on London's underground network, and the opening of Scunthorpe's new library. And later in tonight's programme, I'll be talking to Dave Smith about a charity bike ride for Grimsby Town FC, and before that, Laura Goodham on celebrating the NHS's 70th anniversary. There's yet more strike action on Northern Rail services this week over the role of driver-only trains. RMT union members have staged a 24-hour walkout today in the long-running dispute. Northern are expecting to run as many trains as possible during the peak times. Further strike action is expected on Thursday and Saturday. Meanwhile, a former Hull City councillor says a One Yorkshire deal would be the most effective way to deal with the rail crisis currently affecting the region. TransPennine Express has introduced a new timetable that downgrades their rail services between Hull and Manchester to a 10-stop service with longer journey times but with refurbished rolling stock. The Northern Powerhouse Minister, Jake Berry, says the government's investing £13 billion in the Northern transport infrastructure and has set up Transport for the North to develop a 30-year plan to improve transport across the north of England. However, former councillor Alan Clark says more needs to be done.
The train service is absolutely shocking right now, and it really, really needs sorting out. And if the train operators can't sort it out, then they should give the job to somebody who can, quite frankly. And the rolling stock is appalling on some of the rolling stock. It seems that any old rolling stock is always sent up north, and especially to East Yorkshire, which again is shocking and disgraceful, to be honest, if I'm honestly truthful with you. So I think having a One Yorkshire deal, as the leaders of Yorkshire want, will help them alleviate this by being able to upgrade lines such as Hull to Manchester a lot quicker and easier.
And more rail news. Steel made in Scunthorpe will be used on the London Underground. Transport for London has signed a 2-year deal with British Steel for the supply of rail to the capital's underground network. The agreement will see around 4,000 tonnes of rail produced per year for the tube. The new rail products will reduce operational costs and journey times for passengers. Scunthorpe Central Library is officially open to the public. The newly renovated library brings together various public services under one roof, including job training, blue badge, parking permits and homelessness support. The opening was marked by the launch of Sense of Place, a poetry anthology by people living in North Lincolnshire. Councillor Rob Waltham, the leader of North Lincolnshire Council, says the refurbishment is a boost for Scunthorpe.
It's absolutely transformed from where it was as an old library. Clearly it's not just about a great library which you've seen today and a love of books. It's also now about having a central point for the community to be able to gain advice and guidance on a whole range of council services and some other community services too. Well, this building is a great asset right in the middle of Scunthorpe, and obviously we wanted to maximise the opportunities that have come from that. In Scunthorpe we have free car parking for 2 hours during the week and then obviously free at weekends. So we want to make the most of that whilst also at the same time making the most of this taxpayer's asset right in the middle of the town. So we looked right across the council, the things that could be located here, the things under one roof from a customer perspective, it would be a better outcome. And then obviously what we've managed to deliver is something that's quite impressive, that's seeing more and more people using the building, whilst at the same time recognising it's important to keep investing in Scunthorpe and keep investing and using taxpayers' money wisely. Well, it's been amazing to get poetry from people who live in North Lincolnshire, just depicting their experience of what it's like to live here in their little bits. Sometimes it's a bit about the whole of North Lincolnshire. It's fabulous. Our schools are great, our libraries are great, we've got free car parking, we've got a great offer, just around the woodland and the trees and all the things that are on offer here. Great open spaces, parks and play areas. So there is no greater advocate than the people who've written poems in this book.
The University of Hull launched a new parliamentary group in Westminster today to help influence government policy. The group will be chaired by the Hull North MP Diana Johnson, and it'll include people including MPs and Lords who are connected to the university. The aim of the group is to share the university's knowledge and expertise on controversial and overlooked areas such as modern slavery, microplastics and health. 150 guests attended the launch event. Work has started to regenerate Hornsea's South Promenade boat facilities. The £3.5 million scheme will see the facilities expanded, improved security and boat servicing and washing down facilities. Visitors will enjoy improved access to the boathouse and the rest of the promenade with an upgraded car park and a new picnic area. The project will take 12 months to complete. A well-being wander trail is being created at a school in Scunthorpe. North Lincolnshire Council has provided £14,000 to help Frodingham Infant School develop the trail for children with special educational needs and disabilities. The new space will help children to release energy and communicate better, as head teacher Christina Melander explains.
This new trail has been developed by the local authority and ourselves for our children within school. We've got a lot of vulnerable children who need a bit of space to sort of let off steam. So it's been developed. We put a funding bid in to the local authority, special needs funding bid. We were granted 14,000, so we've had the work done on the trail and secure fencing done. We've got quite a few children in school who struggle with gross motor, find it hard to ride bikes and to coordinate, so this will help with them. It'll also help our children who just need that bit of outdoor time when they've been sat at a desk all day doing their work. They've got some time to come out and just let off steam.
Over the last few years, we've seen an increased number of children that have got social and emotional difficulties that struggle just with the confines of a classroom, particularly because they're such young children being in infant school. And so in this area, they can have sensory breaks from their learning, so they can do a short task, they can come out and have 5 minutes and then return back to the task to refocus them. They can spend time at lunchtime where they may struggle to be included in a big playground, where difficulties arise through behaviour and things. It's another space for them time out. It's a quiet space. It's alongside that, it's an opportunity for them to develop their balance, their fine motor, their gross motor skills, and also the teamwork and building relationships with different people in a secure environment.
Now, the Health Tree Foundation has launched the Big 7T to help celebrate 70 years of the NHS. And I'm joined now by Laura Gooderham, the community champion, to tell me more. Laura, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for inviting
What is the
me.
Health, just quickly, what is the Health Tree Foundation?
The Health Tree Foundation is the official charity for Grimsby, Scunthorpe and Gaul hospitals, so Northern Lincolnshire and Gaul NHS Foundation Trust. We are their charity.
The Big 7T. It's such an awful pun that it's brilliant and beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Big 7 written as a numeral, T written as a cup of tea.
Yeah.
So the Big 7T. There's a kind of a clue in the name here, but what is it that you're asking people to do?
So to celebrate the NHS's 70th birthday, we'd love if people could host a little tea party for us, tea and cake, and celebrate the NHS, but also maybe raise money for the Health Tree Foundation as well, with us being the official charity for the hospital. So it's all about celebrating and raising awareness.
So when would you like people to have these tea parties?
Around the 5th of July. The birthday of the NHS is the 5th of July. However, we've got a couple of things going on that week, so it doesn't have to be the 5th. It can be anywhere around there. We'd be grateful for any date, really.
Anything set up already?
We've got Asda Grimsby, who are hosting a little tea party for us in their cafe on the 4th of July from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m, so that'll be exciting.
And various possible plans in Scunthorpe, I know, as well.
Yes, we are heading to a school on July 5th, who I think it's St Peter's and St Paul's, who are fundraising for us, and we're taking our 6-foot mascot Scrubs the bear with us. So
Scrubs the bear, really?
Yes.
Not
yeah.
a real bear, I take it?
No, not a real bear, no.
6 foot, that's impressive.
Very.
70 years of the NHS. Now, and that's a lot older than you or I, a lot older than you anyway, but it's also, it seems quite recent. We think of that as an institution that's just always been part of Britain, but it's younger than my parents, for instance. It's only 20 years or so older than me, so it's quite a modern development, isn't it? It's quite young.
It is, yeah, and I think we all take it for granted. Love or loathe the NHS, it's something to be celebrated, and we have it there for us whenever we need it, and I think that's something that people should take into consideration for the birthday and, you know, celebrate what we have.
We also find it quite frustrating sometimes.
Yes, the NHS can be frustrating, but I think working now alongside the NHS, you appreciate the time and the dedication that the staff put into making the NHS tick. So I don't know, it's something that you just have to take on board when going into the hospitals, that the staff and the doctors are doing their best, and it may be frustrating having to wait, you know, a little bit extra for your appointments, but
once you've seen it from the inside, you don't mind the 45 minutes waiting in the GP's waiting room.
Absolutely, yeah, you can appreciate them far more, I think.
Healthtree Foundation, raising money. It's a charity, of course, associated with the NHS around here. What's it raising money for?
We are raising money for the Big Thank You appeal, so that can go into our general fund, which is for anything that the hospital may need. Obviously, other people can choose to put it into a different pot or different fund if they wish to.
And if people want to find out more about the Big 7T, how do they find out?
They can visit our website, which is healthtreefoundation.org, or they can give us a call on 03033 304 514.
Laura, as ever, thank you very much for coming in. Good luck with your Big 7T.
Thank you.
Join me after the break. Jack will bring us a roundup of the latest sports news, and I'll be talking to Dave Smith about a charity bike ride raising funds for Grimsby Town. Welcome back. You're watching Estuary News. Still to come tonight, Jack brings us a roundup of all the latest sports news, and I'll be talking to Dave Smith about a charity bike ride for Grimsby Town Football Club. Hull City Council is continuing its drive to create a smoke-free city by stopping smoking at school gates. 24 primary schools have adopted a voluntary code of conduct designed to denormalise, as they put it, smoking, so that children don't see smoking as an everyday activity. The new policy follows last year's smoke-free playground policy, which saw smoking stubbed out at all 91 public playgrounds in the city. The schools have written the rule changes into their policies and have asked students to design a sign asking parents not to light up. Lincolnshire Police are looking for volunteers to protect the elderly and vulnerable. The Force's Operation Revive scheme supports vulnerable and elderly victims of crime. Specially trained volunteers befriend and support people who are vulnerable to certain crimes, including doorstep crime, scams and fraud. The role requires a minimum of 4 hours per week. Anybody interested should go to the Lincolnshire Police website. More than 200 pupils will take the stage for a summer concert in Hull. The Hull Music Service is presenting 2 summer promenade concerts featuring music from The Lion King, The Greatest Showman and Game of Thrones. Performers include the City of Hull Youth Symphonic Wind Band, Jazz Orchestra and the East Hull Schools Choir. The head of Hull Music Service, Chris Maynard, will conduct his final concert after 40 years with the City of Hull Youth Symphony. Both concerts will be held at Hull City Hall on the 26th and the 28th of June at 7 p.m. Beverley's Treasure House will host a Big Treasure Toddle next week. The event is a little sponsored walk for little people to raise money for the children's charity Bernardo's. Toddlers and their families will be able to make their own coins, join a treasure hunt and take part in a treasure-themed play. And that's all happening on the 28th of June at the Treasure House at 1 p.m. 3 former Grimsby Town football players will be cycling from Wembley Stadium to Blundell Park this weekend to raise funds for the club's Youth Development Association. And I'm joined now by one of those ex-players and cyclists, Dave Smith, to tell me more. Dave, welcome. Thank you very much for coming in.
No problem.
Tell me, you're just going to that vast distance in one weekend. That seems ambitious.
Yeah, it's it's a tough challenge to do, 90 miles a day for a couple of days. Obviously, we'll try and break it down for for everybody involved. There's about 12 people doing it, including myself and 2 other players, or former players, Paul Groves and Dave Moore. And yeah, we'll have little stops on the way and make sure that everybody's hydrated and refueled, and you know, have a good rest on Saturday night and crack on and get back to Blundell Park on Sunday.
It's from Wembley Stadium to Blundell Park, which is in Cleethorpes, of course, not Grimsby. Yeah. It's, what, a couple of 100 miles?
It's about 180 miles, yeah. So I've checked the route out previously with some friends of mine, and we know that it's quite flat and it's doable. So yeah, looking forward to the challenge.
Well, it's the first half day. It's just going to be getting out of the London traffic, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, we did it probably on a Sunday at sort of 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, so the traffic wasn't too bad, but we're actually starting from 9 on Saturday down at Wembley, so I'd imagine the traffic will be a lot busier. So first sort of 10 miles you're out, and then once you get to sort of St Albans way, it's not too bad.
Are you a practised and experienced cyclist?
I've been doing it for about 3 years, so I'm hoping that I'll be fine on it. I've ridden longer than that, so I should be okay.
Now, this is for the club's Youth Development Association, Youth Development Division. If people want to make a contribution to that and sponsor you on this unfeasibly long bicycle ride, how should they get in touch? How should they do that?
Yeah, there's a link on our website for Dave and I, and Paul has his own page set up, which I've seen, you know, is doing very, very well. So if the club, you know, if people go onto our club website, they can do it through their
Grimsby Town website. Just
Grimsby Town website. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
And it's important work, of course, this the youth development. It's because players have to retire at some point and be replaced.
Yes, yeah. I mean, you know, we've got a youth setup at Grimsby Town that starts from sort of under 9s and goes away all the way to under 16s, and you know, then they go into the youth team, then hopefully progress from there and get into the first team and become, you know, regulars and stars of the future. So all the money that we can raise, you know, we'll add it to the other monies that we get, and hopefully start producing some you know, some stars of the future.
And this is really sort of locally grown talent for, well, because footballers start their careers terribly young, don't they? They're, you know, at the very top of the sport. So this is locally grown talent that should be, we hope, doing fantastic service at Blundell Park.
Yes, we hope so. You know, we've had a couple of lads break in recently. You know, Harry Clifton came into, you know, through our system, and he's got in the first team just recently. So, you know, there's opportunities there, and we would like to nurture that and create, you know, great links with our youth players all the way through, and you know, start developing some more players, and you know, it's all for the good of the football club.
You will be remembered by Mariners fans as one of the players from the glory years.
Yeah, I mean, 20 years ago, which is hence why we're doing it from Wembley. I was lucky enough to be in a fantastic team that went to Wembley twice and won there back in 1998, led by Alan Buckley and skippered by Paul Groves, who's doing the ride with us. So yeah, it's sort of to mark that and see if we can raise some funds for our youth setup. You know, I came through youth setup, you know, and Dave did here. So, you know, that's our aim to do that on the weekend. In a few weeks' time, there's a possibility that other Englishmen will be lifting a trophy at a fixture in Russia. What do you think of the chances? I thought they played well last night. I thought they played well. Tunisia were quite happy, I think, to sit and settle for the draw with the dubious penalty that they had. Well, they were a bunch of cheats, weren't they? There was more wrestling going on. Yeah. I thought that football was supposed to be the beautiful game, and this turned into carnage. Yeah, well, you know, there's a lot of unseen things that go on in the penalty box, and well, most of it was seen, and it should have been seen by the VAR thing that's looking down from the Russian satellites. It should have been, but it wasn't picked up, and you know, fair play to them. They kept plugging away, and they scored, you know, in injury time. And yeah, I was pleased with the fluidity and the movement of the team, especially in the first half. And yeah, you know, why not? Why can't they pick it up in 2 weeks? Why didn't Gareth Southgate pick any Grimsby players? It's obviously, you know, he doesn't come up to Grimsby enough. Maybe have a look. Maybe it's those club obligations that get in the way sometimes. Dave, thank you so much for coming in, and I hope you enjoy your cycle ride this weekend. Look forward to it. Thank you. Here's Jack with all the rest of the sports news.
It was doubles delight for local tennis star Kyle Edmund yesterday as he advanced to the next round of the Queen's Club Championships in London. The British #1 beat the pairing of Grigor Dimitrov and Ryan Harrison 3-6, 7-6, 10-3, alongside fellow Brit Neil Skupski to advance to the quarter-finals. Ticton-raised Edmund is in singles action tonight against that man again, Ryan Harrison. I'll bring you full details of how he gets on in tomorrow's sport. In football, Grimsby Town manager Michael Jolly has been speaking about the ideal squad size he wants to work with next season. Jolly signed midfielder Elliot Whitehouse from local rivals Lincoln City last week. Whitehouse joined striker Louis Robles and defenders Alex Whitmore and Harry Davis in moving to Blundell Park. Despite the signings, Jolly admitted that he's looking to trim the number of players in his squad compared to last season.
Yeah, I think in total 12 contracted players left the club at the end of last season, and I think 6 loan players returned, so that's 18 in total. So it would be fair to say we're unlikely to replace those 18 with 18 more. So by definition, I think the size of the squad will reduce, yeah.
In Rugby League, Hull FC prop Scott Taylor has received a late call-up to the England squad for the test against New Zealand on Saturday. The 27-year-old replaces George Burgess, who picked up an injury for South Sydney Rabbitohs last week. Hull-born Taylor was in England's squad for the 2017 World Cup and has made a total of 3 appearances for his country so far. And finally, Hull Kingston Rovers head coach Tim Sheens has spoken about the impact of new signing Joel Tompkins. Tompkins made his debut for the Robins in the 24-all draw with Castleford Tigers at the weekend, and Sheens was full of praise for the new recruit. He said, "I thought Joel Tompkins did well on his debut. He had a couple of nice touches and did his job for the team." He spoke after the game and said, "We could have easily lost heavily, but nobody wanted to give in, and I'd agree with him." Tompkins, of course, joined Rovers after being sacked from former club Wigan due to a drunken incident involving bar staff. Sheens will be hoping he continues to make a bigger impact on the pitch rather than off it. That's all for today's sport. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks very much, Jack. As always, nice to have a sports bulletin there that doesn't mention anything going on in Russia. If you have a news story for us or you'd like to comment, correct or criticise, then please get in touch via Facebook or Twitter as indicated below me, or email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472 3155553, or you can always write to us at Estuary TV, Nuns Corner, Laceby Road, Grimsby, North East Lincolnshire, DN34 5BQ. Until tomorrow, from all of us here on the team, good evening.